everything that can go wrong will go wrong today for whatever reason. It's raining outside. My electricity just went out, and then I thought, we're gonna cancel the show today. I go out to buy pizza. As soon as I leave, I already ordered the pizza. Okay, so I thought it would be weird to call the place and cancel the pizza. So I went to get the pizza, and as soon as I leave, the electricity comes back. And then the guys are waiting for me, and then they think we're not doing it anymore. In any case, welcome to the Game Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey. Dave is driving his daughter from or to school, or something's happening. We have the immaculate Manu Rosier again joining us with a beautiful orange shirt.
Yes, I've gone through the series of t-shirts. I think I'm back with the orange one from a few weeks ago. Yes. No, it was actually a request, a personal request.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. This is, I think, the 13th episode we record together, which means, if you put things into perspective, Manu, we've almost done 13 hours of podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
right? I will have to ask you, of course, the usual in the form of what have you done, what have you played last week, anything on your horizon?
No, I was busy with other stuff this weekend, actually. I didn't play that much. Let me just check what I have on Steam. But no, nothing new since Crime Scene Cleaner. Oh, did I mention Crime Scene Cleaner?
Yes, we talked about that beautiful idea of a game. I was at the Sweden Game Conference this year, last week. Really good stuff. I'm very surprised by small teams achieving amazing things. I do want to show you this game. It's called Dice Gambit, made by former Shark Mob people who are currently in Gothenburg. There are only 3 people, but I'm seeing a potential for a studio to kind of almost challenge maybe Persona type games. Amazing art, really unique idea in the form of using dice in these turn-based RPG style games.
Mm-hmm.
Really beautiful. I mean, this could have been Persona made by the Japanese team, let's say 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this game specifically. They had a deal before with Curve Digital, but Curve had to shut down some studios apparently, or rather shut down some projects. And now they are decided to self-publish in Q1 next year. So I'm looking forward to that game. I haven't checked out your news, Manu, but we'll roll with the punches. Your number 2, as usual, for me is number 1 in the highlights. So I'm going to talk about that first and let me know what you have to say, because obviously last week we spoke about Epic. Team Sweeney and his team is fighting the good fight, at least in my book. But here's the news item, which is Google must crack open Android for third-party stores, rules Epic judge. Epic Games wins case to open up Android store. So if I understand this correctly, the Google store on Android devices has to offer the possibility for users to download the Epic Game Store. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's forcing the resident shops, app shops, to open and let other shops be there. This is another battle. We had the similar battle between Apple and Epic, and if I remember correctly, it's Apple who won.
Yeah.
But now it's the other way around. And we've discussed about the quest from Epic to open stuff, right? I think in this context, the challenge, similarly to the Epic Game Store, is going to be about moving players rather than moving developers, because players are used, it's very easy for them to just go to the Google Play Store at this point. So they need to have a critical mass of apps to be available on somewhere else, because if for the end consumer there is not so much of a difference from a pricing standpoint, I don't see why people would move. So if this is beneficial for the developers because the royalties are lower, I hope and expect that the developers will give some of that money back to the players, to the spectators. Otherwise, there is no real incentive. And we've also seen that going with exclusive apps or exclusive games is probably not the way to go. From what we've seen on with the Epic Game Store, it's very probably not the best solution for business, and I don't see how they could kind of give free app or free games neither on mobile, because the norm is more to have free games anyway. So they will need a different strategy to make sure that the players will move to any other store on a mobile phone.
It's interesting from the perspective of crossplay, let's say, and then account linking and that type of stuff. What is it called when when you have multiple accounts and you want to kind of carry over your progression, or you want to carry over your account? I'm assuming. I mean, that is going to be a bit easier process for them than to apply if, let's say, a player plays Fortnite on mobile and then at the same time on other platforms, they can just use one single account system for that.
Yeah,
But to your point, just to add, then obviously any competition is good because it will add value towards the consumer at the end of the day. Especially if we marry the latest changes to the rev share model with Epic with Unreal Engine, going from 5% to 3.5.
yeah.
By the way, just a final note then, because this is so Epic lost this battle when it comes to Apple in the US, but they won against Google. Is that how we are reading it?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't follow all the details of all the agreement, all this saga. I think in Europe it's probably also different. But I think this is a good start, and Google is appealing anyway. So maybe it will be reverted in a few weeks or months from now. But my understanding is, yeah, I will have to go back to the decision taken between Apple and Epic. But it felt like this is now the Epic side rather than the Apple side. There might be some subtleties. I don't know if you say that in English, like that makes it different between Android and iOS. And
Subtle. Yes, I'm trying to say the word,
subtleties,
but I can't say the word.
yeah, you know,
Yes.
that makes it different in this case. Yeah.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the number one highlight on your list. Microsoft's 343 Studios, or Industries rather, rebrands as Halo Studios, adopts Unreal Engine. So there are two items here. 343 changes name to Halo Studios, and then they will start using Unreal. I'm not sure what did they use before Unreal.
They had their own engine. Let's not forget that Halo has been an Xbox game for a very long time. It was also released on PC. Some of like remaster editions have been released on PC, and yeah. So the implication could be that it will be easier to port on PlayStation if it's the Unreal Engine 5, because it's already engine that's being used by many teams, many studios. But that's an assumption from Digital Foundry, who is the second link in the sentence. Yeah, and then I mean, Halo used to be Bungie, right? That was kind of the brand between the two. Then Bungie became more Destiny, and now 343 Industries.
Yeah.
It's a studio that's only gonna do Halo content. So I think I don't have an opinion on that. This is just news, but I think the fact that they are shifting to the Unreal Engine 5 is interesting. And let's not forget that Valorant is also shifting to the Unreal Engine 5. Or is updating to the Unreal Engine 5. I think it was 4 before.
Oh,
So,
really? So they're.
I mean, that makes sense if you're on Unreal 4 to upgrade to Unreal 5. But I think it's yet another game. They more and more game are on this platform, this engine, and there are implications in the creativity in some kind of monopoly from Epic, even if they are seen as being the good guys right now, but they also have more power and more leverage.
Absolutely. Which might become dangerous down the line. And I agree on that. Speaking of Halo, that's another franchise, on the subject of a couple past weeks of long-term IP. Do we care as much? And by the way, let me just Dave is joining us as we speak. Welcome back, Dave.
Here I am. I've arrived.
Here you are. Are you using the right mic and everything?
It said so. How do I sound?
You sound okay. I mean, it does say Yeti.
It says Yeti. Okay, so I sound like a Yeti.
If we can get you boosted a bit.
Okay, let's...
I'll let you work on that.
Yeah, where's that game?
So, Manu, just quickly then, on the Halo and relationship to IP and old people, we're getting old, and the new generation, what are your thoughts there? Is that an IP that we see longevity in?
So it's a very US IP for starters, also based on its origin. It has always been way more popular in the US than in Europe, for example, and in Asia for sure. The Halo Infinite was a mixed success, right? Let's say that there were good things, there were things on the live service that have been lacking, let's put it that way. The TV show started with a lot of hype, but then it was cancelled after 2 seasons. For me, that I would feel like the brand can only go up from this point. Let's put it that way.
I'm sorry.
It has a huge fan base, right? But it's lacking a bit of content right now. There's not that much happening, and as far as I know, I'm not sure about future project. I know there have been some kind of maybe battle royale mode that have been cancelled from the live service of Halo Infinite.
Yep.
But when it comes to actually selling games and systems, well, there is not that much right now that can trigger that.
So thank you for making me laugh, because I'm seeing the diplomacy here, and then also at the same time I'm laughing at Dave as he's trying to get his things to work. Let's move over to the news then. One of my favorite games of all time that I never got to finish because I was too scared to play.
Yeah.
Alien Isolation is getting a sequel 10 years later. I love that.
Yes, it was just announced on X, I think, where they were celebrating the 10 year, and then one of the designer or one of the head there said that we are working on the sequel, which is nice. The question is, will it be related to Alien Romulus, the movie? Because Alien Romulus, the movie, is happening a few years after Alien Isolation, the game. So there is a blank to fill. And I think it's interesting to see if they will connect the two experiences, if there will be Easter egg, because there are Easter eggs of Alien Isolation in Alien Romulus, the movie. So I think it's good. I think it's nice that the game is going to have a new one. I think it could perform quite well, given the reputation it has, and it's kind of a iconic game at this point. And I agree that it's also the kind of game you almost don't play it by pleasure, right? It's not a very friendly experience, and yes.
I'm trying to play the trailer here in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I speaking of Alien, I haven't seen the latest trailer or the latest movie. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but it does give a feeling of trying to go back to the original Alien movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that correct to say?
Yeah,
almost.
I'm here now. I'm here. I'm talking, and I can say that it's correct for you to say.
Wow, yes. your sound is really high. I'm gonna take it. Don't do anything. Don't do anything.
Great, yeah.
I'm fixing.
Usually we do this before, but
yes.
So it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see what they do with another Alien Isolation because the first one was a really cool idea that strained a little bit against the bounds of like a 20-hour or so game. So obviously that raises questions about a sequel, which obviously is a question that they have thought about. So I'm really curious to see if they can give that idea the terrifying legs that it needs to slice its way into our hearts.
And let's not forget it's a game where you don't have weapons, right? You don't have guns or anything.
No, you had like a gun because they're not all the alien is not the only threat. There's like these androids and stuff. I'm pretty sure there was a way to attack the androids, and you get a flamethrower later on, as in the movie.
Beautiful stuff, gentlemen. I'm going to move on over to the next item of the news. So, Tetris is coming to Fortnite.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Hasbro is bringing classic board games to Fortnite too.
I can see that working out, actually.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. It seems good in that Robloxy way, where like super simple experiences do really well on these highly social platforms, so that people can hang out. So
this means the multiverse of Fortnite is just it's expanding as we speak, but it's also accelerating.
It's not the future anymore, and I think some people are just like waiting for something big to happen, but it's happening step by step, block by block. And you see the joke with Tetris.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, Ready Player One is not going to happen in a day. It's going to take a process to get to that point. Oh shit! Okay, we were over here where everything was disconnecting, and now we're in a place where everything is connected. Yeah.
And is there a will to go VR, full VR? That's the question is still there.
And also, does it matter? Does the metaverse need to be VR?
No.
Yeah, I don't see that it does.
Immersive, right? But I think it will accelerate the development of this, what I consider as digital publishing platform.
Yeah, and
like
the more
Steam,
and that seems like a more durable way of doing it than the Roblox model of sort of having brands build these experiences within it. And this just seems a lot more considered, right? This is a gaming platform; these are games. It seems intentional in a way that Roblox doesn't always.
And I think for a company like Hasbro is also a way to test the water, right? Do we still need to release our games on so many other digital front store or platform? Mm-hmm. If we can find our audience there, maybe there is also.
Hasbro owns Monopoly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that exists as a standalone game, I believe, in various
versions. One of which is ludicrously profitable.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's the mobile one.
Yeah.
What's the name of the studio again?
Scopely, right?
Scopely, purchased by Zavi. Okay, gentlemen, I'll move on to the next item. Rockstar's in the news again. Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare DLC are headed to PC. Are they available in Gen 5 consoles?
Question. Well, I mean, but through backwards compatibility.
Available. Is there a SKU? Is there an upgrade for Gen 5? I don't think
I don't think so, yeah.
Maybe. But you remember that it was a rumor in the past few weeks where we asked the question, who wants to play Red Dead Redemption 1 today? So we will see how many people are willing to play that game.
Yeah, I suspect that this will give them some data as to whether or not they want to pursue that. I think they should, because Red Dead Redemption is a much better game than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
I only know this story of a former producer that I worked with, who used to just hang out in Red Dead, can't speak correctly, Red Dead Redemption 2, and he would just sit around and play the banjo, kind of. That's his selling point.
Yeah,
and what he used to do.
I mean, I admire that. I've always perhaps if I had a quieter mind, I would do that. But I do actually play the banjo, but I don't have the banjo with me. It's in
We
the
need to
States.
have the banjo with you on the next episode.
We
or
do. It'll
soon.
it'll be a project. But I went on a trip and I found a banjo and played it and I enjoyed it. So I want to try and get one back.
Beautiful. Okay then, I'll move on to the next item on the list here. Why Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero is blowing everybody away. Did I miss something?
Yes.
I don't really know how a lot of these words go together.
I think Dragon Ball games are kind of underdogs when it comes to game. I mean, they exist, but people are not. Or can I say that we don't talk that much about the Dragon Ball games? But I think some of them have been very successful. This one, I've not done a lot of homework, but it's not just a fighting game, right? There is more of this exploration side of things, open world, and it look and feel like you are in the manga, basically.
It looks great, yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. I think it's a amazing game for every Dragon Ball Z fan, and there are still Dragon Ball fans, and there are still many of them. Still a very popular manga, and it seems to be. It has like 80 plus Metacritic, 82.
So
good.
I mean,
it's launching only in 2 days, but it was like number 1 or number 2 on Steam sales.
Cool.
In the past few days, even ahead of EA FC 25, which was launched not so long time ago. So it has a good hype. It might become the most successful HD Dragon Ball game in history. And
do we dare say anime game as well, or?
That's a broad category, like anime adaptation. What's another successful
or
anime?
Manga adaptation, or
yeah, that's interesting. What is another successful anime adaptation?
The Naruto series have had a lot of success over the years, I believe.
Yeah.
Trying to think myself, but nothing is coming to mind right now.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
But historically speaking,
Naruto.
These games, because they're all published by Bandai Namco, is that correct?
Good question.
I don't.
I believe it is Bandai Namco. But while we do that research, Dave is on it already. Historically speaking, these types of games have always focused on it's a fighting game. It doesn't have more
Bandai
meat than
Namco,
that. Yeah. So we have, and I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, it's One Piece, it's Naruto, it's Dragon Ball. Maybe there's something else there that they published, but they were all a type of fighting game.
Yeah.
And nothing else. But Manu, if I understand correctly, you're saying the latest one has a bit more meta or like a deeper gameplay, not just fighting?
Yeah, I think it has also more probably of a single player component, like more adventure. But I have to check. But I if I remember correctly, that's what I saw. So it's always interesting when you have a game successful in a specific genre, but then start adding gameplay from other genre, and that's where it explodes sometimes. So I'm curious to see how big it will be, or how big it will stay, also from a live service perspective. But I just wanted to put on the radar of people because I think they deserve the spotlight.
I'm actually looking at trying to see the numbers on Steam while we're also. Oh wow! So somehow I missed this completely. So peak 24 hours, 100,000 players. Players right now 56,000. So that is pretty. I would say unusual. For whatever reason, it's not okay. Never mind. It's in the top 20. It's not in the top 10 on SteamDB. That's probably why I missed it. Fair enough, gentlemen. I'll move over to the next category on the trends. And I'm very curious to hear you speak about this one, Manu. The New York Times is testing a new puzzle called Zorzi. What's that?
It doesn't matter. What matters is that I mean, I don't know. What matters is that the Times, which is a newspaper, right? Initially, is into online gaming and want to grow their gamer community. And apparently the Times gaming app is almost downloaded so many times, almost
10 million times.
more downloaded than just the news app. So is there a market for them, to think like maybe we should get into gaming because we have an audience that's interested in certain type of gaming?
Okay.
Is there something there? So I think it's like they are finding another leg to their core business. And that's what I found very interesting, actually. And you don't need to have a AAA blockbuster to attract players, right? We are talking about games like Wordle. That is probably a game like they must have millions and millions of active users because every day you do your Wordle, right? And some people are just like that kind of game. Very easy, short session, but they come every day.
So if I understand correctly, I mean, Wordle and the other one is Spelling Bee. Are these owned by New York Times?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they bought Wordle. I know, and I think Spelling Bee has been there.
But that's probably why they're mentioning it in the article as
Yeah.
part of it. But Dave, you might know this. I mean, New York Times, is that a dying publication? Or...
No, they're doing great.
Really?
Yeah, there's been a ton of consolidation in the American news market, and it's a hard time for everyone. But the consolidation has benefited a few massive outlets, and the New York Times is one of them. They're doing fine. Video games have helped a lot. But
video games is the savior of every single other industry.
Well, yeah, the thing is, like, that's the games have not always been video, but that is like long been the case, right? People have bought the Sunday Times for the crossword for time immemorial, and so that's basically an extension of the same thing.
If you check the LinkedIn, the X link I put in the chat. From Matthew Boy, we talk a bit about a few, and basically saying that the customer spending is higher on games than on actual newspaper.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, for one thing, people are still accustomed to spending money on games. I mean, less so than they used to be, but they are still accustomed to it, and they are not as accustomed to doing so on news.
And I mean, this is the audience that probably does the paper crossword, that used to do the paper crossword, and this is not the audience that's playing GTA, probably. But so I think it's also, this is incremental audience, I would say. A lot of that's probably incremental audience, people that don't play anything else or didn't play before, but they just have they're now online.
Yeah, I think it's certainly based on the people I know that spend a lot of time with them, that is definitely true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is interesting from the perspective of an old medium trying to find a new home, in a sense, which does make a lot of sense considering and Dave, you have to correct me because you're the expert here, but considering how people consume news, I assume it's moved over to other platforms. Would that be accurate to say?
Other platforms besides like a paper newspaper, you think?
Other platforms, even on the digital front, people are not, because I would add an additional thing, which is these newspapers, these digital newspapers, they always have a paywall or some type of thing that blocks you from actually being able to consume the content fully.
Right. And yeah, I mean, obviously the news industry has a ton of problems. But the New York Times is not doing as badly as many others.
Gotcha. Cool. Then I'll move on to the next item, which is an interesting Swedish company, Paradox. How Paradox weathered delays, developer splits, and life by use cancellation. So I will add a bit to my understanding of Paradox, considering how close I am. What I've seen the past, let's say, 3 years is a transformation at Paradox from the perspective of they went from being a niche, they owned a niche, to trying to do a lot more things, and now went back to that niche or that space where they feel very confident in executing. That's my current understanding, but I would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I'm always interested I think there's a real tension that's happening in the publishing world at the moment, where people are historically, like a lot of publishers, large and small, they just publish games, like good games. Send us a game, they got some money, they'll market it. And I think gradually we're finding that publishers can do a lot better if they do have a kind of identity. beyond just publishing games. And Paradox definitely had one of those. People knew where to go when they wanted hardcore strategy, grand strategy, that kind of thing. And it's just those people don't come to Paradox to play those other sorts of things, and that's always going to be tough. But I think going forward, it's a safer bet for a publisher to develop a brand that people know to identify with a certain thing. And that thing might be broad, but so long as we can identify it and understand it, like I think that's a safer place to be than just trying to get the hits wherever you can find them.
And I guess to that point, then the customer base, when you're speaking to them as part of your CRM system, it will be more relevant. And then, additionally, on Steam, your catalog will also be more concise or consistent, rather. Manu, any additional thoughts on this?
I think usually our audience is interested by the clicks I see whenever there are some professional from the industry, like doing some interviews, but I would say not shallow interviews, like more opening their books and what they are doing and what happened for them. So I think the Paradox story was very interesting, and also from the point of view of the Sims competitor, right? And when you look at what he said, basically they realized they couldn't bring something better and new compared to the Sims. So they were like, well, if we can't do that, maybe we should shift our energy towards something else. If we can't find this new mod in a live simulation type of game, then we're not going to get the players. So I think it's interesting that all some of these decisions are being taken. It's very late in the process because they were almost in early access.
Yeah.
And a lot of time spent and energy to give up on a project like that. But sometimes you have to be, how can I say, critical to yourself and to what you do, and just there are some better decision to stop than to go on.
Self-critical. I mean, Manu, what confuses me here in that specific example that you gave, because in that specific example, there are very few games in that space, if any at all, right?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they chose to continue the work on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which, I don't know. I mean, I think even if it's people have forgotten about that game altogether at this point. It's been like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, since announcement.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it comes out, it's not gonna do blockbusters.
Certainly not guaranteed.
Vampire is double-sided, right? Everybody loves Vampire, but Vampire, you also sometimes you have to limit you have age restriction depending on the theme. It is too bloody, too violent, so you have this limitation of the genre. And then like movies or any media that has been extremely successful with Vampire is maybe you never have the potential of superheroes, for example. And I think it's almost they have gone too far into talking about the game, and I mean it's a fan favorite follow-up sequel, so it's kind of difficult to now come and say, oh, by the way, we are going to stop that one too.
Yeah, but that thing was a cult hit like 20 years ago. Now it's tough follow-up. Like, had it been a big hit 20 years ago, that then people were, it had then languished for a while, but it has always been a niche. That niche is inevitably smaller than it was a long time ago. It's a tough one. I remember seeing a press preview of it.
Uh-huh.
No, I have no idea how long ago. I think I was still living in New Orleans, so a long time ago. And sometimes you guys got to let a doomed product die.
Speaking of New Orleans, you know what game franchise made an amazing adaptation of a vampire-esque theme? Infamous.
Did they?
Infamous had a DLC, but this was like in
PS3
days. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Cool.
So for those who are listening, go play Infamous. I'm going to move over to the next item, my friends, which is really confusing to me. And I would love to hear from you, Manu, about why do we even care? So Universal powering up Sega video game Shinobi into movie with Sam Hargrave, whoever that is. I may be too old. Tell me, why should we care about this?
because why not? And because it's another. We talked before about good video game movies lately. A stroke of good video games movie, and it will be successful, and we will see more until we see some starting to fail from a quality standpoint, from a revenue standpoint. So we're kind of on the edge, right? We're walking a fine line between success and failure. And I think that's when it's a double-sided sword. Here you're like, okay, why not? But where is the audience for that? And even if the movie is good, is there an audience? And if the movie is not good, there won't be an audience. So
I think it's just Hollywood looking for any like way to get people to pay some kind of attention, right? So like you're going to make a ninja movie, and maybe they're making a ninja movie anyways. Why not slap a recognizable brand on it as long as it's the right price?
Absolutely.
You know, like
this is back to
sorry, yeah, you can do it. You're good.
Yeah, I said this is back to the discussion about the dormant IPs, right? Just recycle whatever you have in stock instead of just create a new one because it's cheaper. Even if it's like it's not.
But I'm still confused,
obscure, right?
I'm still confused. Like nobody gives a shit about this game in this day and age.
Yeah, but like more people, like you're going to make a ninja movie, right? Let's say you're going to make this ninja movie.
But wait, sorry. But they could have made a movie called Shinobi, and it doesn't nobody would give a shit.
But now there's a headline written about it. We just saw it. It was on the screen moments ago.
Okay. By the way, is there a license attached to this thing?
That was the impression I got from that article. But I don't know.
Oh, look, there's Spider-Man in this game. I didn't know that. That's
people
interesting.
In tights.
Yes, they all look like Spider-Man. I'm really confused still about this. So, but thank you for trying to make sense out of it. I'll move over to the next item on the trends then. Saudi Arabia's PIF cuts stake in Nintendo. Oh, wow. So PIF is the public fund. I forgot the I. Investment fund, thank you.
Yeah.
And you're saying they're cutting their stake in Nintendo?
Yes, the funny part is more that there was an interview with one of the person in charge of that fund saying, we are interested to increase our investment in Japan. And I think it was misunderstood as being as in Nintendo. But the real quote is more, we are interested to increase our investment in Japan, meaning also in other studios and not only in Nintendo. So the fun part is that on one day you have, wow, the share price of Nintendo goes up because of someone understanding that Xavi or the PIF will increase its stake in Nintendo, and then the next day is the other way around because it was maybe translation misunderstanding.
It's a misunderstanding, guys.
Yeah, those with better Arabic than me can maybe get ahead of the markets.
They should have called me.
Yeah, apparently, we need you combing through all the press releases of the Saudi investment fund so we can get a day ahead of these things.
But I'm just confused why they made that choice in terms of decreasing their investment in Nintendo.
You'll make those decisions for all kinds of reasons. Diversifying, want to do a competitor, whatever.
Yeah, so you're saying potentially, diversifying into other companies or other areas.
And it's a slight adjustment, right? I think it's from 8 to 7%. Does it change anything on a day-to-day basis? Do they have less power or probably not that much? Or probably they just want to diversify a little bit and then now go for other Japanese companies?
Fair enough. Not going to question that. I'm going to move over to the rumors, my friends. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake is closer than you think. That's one of the best, I believe, Assassin's Creed games that people appreciate, right?
This is like a way to... my favorite, I think.
Okay. I think this is one of the oldest... Between the remake of that one and the PC port of Bloodborne, probably two of the most talked about rumors, right? Irregularly it comes back. Nobody is sure why it has not been triggered earlier by Ubisoft. But what basically this piece is saying is that they plan to release about 10 Assassin's Creed in the coming years, or in the next 5 years. So they might be one that is the remaster or remake, probably more remake. Okay, for Gen 5 or for PC, and they might be also with the trouble they had with Outlaw, with the push of with the delay of Shadows. They might want maybe to go the safe road, or like to get back some good PR stuff by bringing a fan favorite game. Yeah, so this is just a rumor anyway, but it's gonna come back. It comes every 6 months. It's coming back.
I mean, that could also be a strategy of like, our main title or the current modern title didn't work out, or we're filling the gaps.
Yeah, just
maybe between them.
Keep it in your back pocket for when you need it.
Top of mind, IP top of mind. Maybe that's also could be part of the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts about that, Dave, or should I move on?
That game's cool. I probably wouldn't buy it again.
It has a really good simulation, like pirate simulation, right?
Yeah, it's got the love the sea shanties. I don't think I've ever seen a game do that quite as well. The game ends with the parting glass, which that's good stuff. I mean, it is a great game. But when I think about the committing myself to another massive open world game, it's probably going to be one I haven't played before, which is a little tough.
Fair enough.
And I would be waiting for Ghost of Bahamas or something like that.
Yeah,
we discussed.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm also looking for Ghost of Bahamas.
Yeah.
That's kind of... Did the Japanese reach the Bahamas at one point?
There are other not all ghosts are Japanese, of course.
Yes. I'm moving over to the next item, which continues, obviously.
Sorry, I have to mention you have a Yakuza in Hawaii, right? That's coming.
Yeah, Pirate Yakuza. Yeah, is it Hawaii? I guess Hawaii is a good location.
Like
for
a dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. So don't start with
those
Japanese
guys just
heroes.
keep winning. Just keep winning. Those guys.
Wait a second. There is a.
You're gonna be confused. You're gonna be confused.
Okay, so the Yakuza series.
Yes,
Is
Like a Dragon.
Okay.
Like a Dragon, I think, is one of the spin-off.
Yeah.
So Like a Dragon is the spin-off of Yakuza series, and they kind of like taking more liberties, is what I'm hearing.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And now they are going pirates.
Okay.
I just like every time I try and think of a ridiculous Yakuza game that's a terrible idea, I'm like, actually, that's a good idea. The one that came to mind was Yakuza in a daycare. I'd play that.
I would love to play that as well. And it seems like... Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think that Yakuza, the whole Yakuza series, is also a serial success story, even of a smaller scale, but it also deserves some more love, probably, by the media. Because it has been delivering constantly, and I think once you're a Yakuza or like a Dragon fan, you just will play all the games. It feels a bit like a Final Fantasy.
Look at this. This is beautiful.
But we don't talk about that IP as much as some other ones, and there is some fun stuff in there if you like the genre, right? These are more like RPG type of game, but where you can do some activities, some mini games, and there is a lot of story also behind this, and I think it's interesting. So
this is really beautiful, really beautiful. And I think to this point, is this like almost the same thing as what's that? I'm butchering it now. What's the giant crab game again from 20 years ago that has like gazillions and bazillions game?
Genji, Days of the Blade, something like that.
Is that it? But which one was the one you talked about last time that you liked?
Me?
That has like, I think they're up on number 13 or whatever. Also Japanese.
Also Japanese. There's 13 of them.
Maybe more.
Dynasty Warriors. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Japanese game though set in China. That has, it's dropped off. Yakuza has not dropped off. That's been just picking up steam, but Dynasty Warriors dropped off hard. Though the Mushu genre overall did not. But yeah, I would love it if they made as many Dynasty Warriors games as they do Yakuza games.
I'll have to tell you a secret here. I have a bunch of Yakuza games here.
All right. I see shrink. Is there shrink wrap on those? I see shrink wrap.
Yep.
Yep.
This is the first one. I'm sad to tell you, I haven't played any of them.
Yep. You got to open them before you play them.
That's how it works, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. One day, I have this like grand plan. One day, this entire stack, I'm gonna one beautiful day. Okay, I'll move over to the numbers then. Detroit Become Human has sold 10 million copies, or upward it says here, but I'm assuming that means it's sold more than 10. A really cool game, right?
It's an amazing game. I'm happy for them. I want more games like this, but this is my personal taste. But this is a great milestone, and I encourage everyone that kind of into this adventure, walking simulator or discovery type of game to try this one. Not only from a gameplay perspective, but from a setting, from a story, from a character. I think it's an amazing game.
This is Quantic Dream's biggest game, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they had...
Seems like it. Yeah.
Heavy Rain was also quite successful and iconic, but I don't know in terms of sales if it was bigger.
Yeah, from the timing, it seems like 10 million would have been hard to get around when Heavy Rain was out.
Yeah,
Heavy Rain was PS3.
I believe so.
I really need to sort my games better.
5 million units.
Okay,
so
there you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Quantic Dream, another studio that has become an expert at a certain type of genre of games.
And then the next one is Star Wars Eclipse.
So, last item on the numbers. Tell us what's going on.
No, it's just a new collaboration between Amazon Games and NCSoft, another MMO type of game that seems to have around 3 million players. Doesn't feel like it's a lot, but it's maybe a bit niche for a Western audience. I've also heard some feedback about maybe localization or some things that were not incredible. But it's Prime Day today.
Happy Prime Day.
Yes.
I guess we're celebrating Prime Day now.
Or is it Merry Prime Day?
I don't have an opinion on the game, or doesn't look like 3 million is a lot compared to maybe New World and some other games, because this one is free to play, I believe also. So we know the challenge of coming with yet another MMO, like Heroic Fantasy MMO. What will this one bring, and why would people jump in that one and mostly stay in that one? Because they will jump. Like there is an audience that's always ready to try the new kid on the block.
Yep.
But where will it be in 1 month from now? Will already be an indication of the potential of the game.
Yeah, I feel like with so many of those, you're coming against established games, and honestly, the biggest problem is you're coming against established communities and established worlds and all that. But you're just coming up against established organizations that are capable of pumping out content with protocols that they've developed over a decade, and that is really, really hard to compete with.
It does seem like the gameplay is a bit unique in an MMO type setting, but I also noticed that there are some similarities to, is it Final Fantasy XIV, the current one that is an MMO?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are some, at least visual similarities, not necessarily gameplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Really good stuff. Gentlemen, I mean, that's all the news we have today.
All
Anything else you'd like to add?
I'm all right.
No,
We're good.
Okay.
No, it's been a bit calm. Let's put it that way in the past few days. But we don't have to do 1 hour every week, right? If there's only so much we can talk about.
I recently, earlier this week, I got addicted to a game I can't talk about, but I'm excited for when everyone else gets to play.
Good.
Are we expecting this game to come out this year?
We'll expect this game to come out next year.
Next year?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you'll have to remind us in episode 13.
That is what
you remember
I'll do.
that thing I talked about?
Yeah, here's what it is now.
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties we've had earlier in the beginning. But please do follow, subscribe, do all these things. I hate to say this stuff, but I've been told that I have to say this stuff to get people to do them. So hit that subscribe bell button, whatever you have in front of you. Do all the things that are required to help us reach a wider audience. We would really appreciate that. And smash the like button.
Yeah,
Write
my body reject that phrase, but
You see, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But yes, anything you do would really help us out. Check out our newsletter, which I think is the biggest value we can offer people in the industry. It's mightydiamonds.substack.com, or just Google the Game Industry Executive Summary. We're very close to getting to 500 subscribers. I've been really good at marketing our newsletter. Every time I meet a new person, when I'm at a conference, I just say, hey, you want to know what we do? Just Google Game Industry Executive Summary and then subscribe. So with that, I think I got like 40, 50 people to commit to subscribing, which is amazing. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye. Bye.